Hello class, how are you today? My name is Hassan. This is my third discussion board for Professor Barr's English 112 class. In this discussion board, we're asked to read two short stories. Both of them are by Edgar Allan Poe. First story is The Hop Frog. The second is The Cask of Amontillado. I'm going to start with The Hop Frog. And the professor has given us some critical theories and modes he wants us to go through while reading these and using the examples out of those stories to do this discussion board. The first is Marxism, and that goes with the hop frog. In Marxism, they state that there shouldn't be any classes, everybody should be equal, and then also religion is just keeping the lower classes occupied, and it's developed by the higher monarchy or the higher classes to keep the lower classes occupied. So in Hop Frog, I have a quote from Hop Frog. I'm going to read that. It says, quote, "I believe the name Hop Frog was not given to the dwarf by his sponsor at baptism, but it was conferred upon him by general consent of several ministers on account of his inability to walk as other men do," unquote. Excuse me. And in this quote, it's clearly showing that, Hop Frog, being Christian at baptism, was given a name, but then he gets sent to the king's palace, and out of nowhere, they decide what's his new name going to be. So they're, it kind of shows that they're thinking, or they're even above the church, or even above religion, that they can make their own name for somebody, which shows, a great deal of sadness. What Marxism really is talking about. That's true. Moving on, post-colonialism. In this, I see that Hop Frog and the other Tripieta, they were taken from their homelands and sent to the king as presents, and they're taking from their homelands. Why? Because there's still a presence of the king there. Because there's a quote in the story, and it says, quote, "Hop Frog and a young girl very little less dwarfish than himself had been forcefully carried off from their respective homes in adjoining provinces and sent as presents to the king by one of his ever virtuous generals." And that's showing that even though he's conquered the land, the king has and is left the place, his rule is still there, his generals are still there. So what's the point of post-colonialism? Moving on, it's feminism, and in our English 112, the feminism we're going with is the women's role in the literary contents, and also, well, not more of like the women power and stuff like that. And Hop Frog Tripieta is really shown as a strong character. She's a really good dancer. She's good looking, and so she's like a double threat. She does what she does. She's good at it, and then she looks good while doing it. In the book, the short story they've written, it's a quote. It says, "Hop Frog, who although made a great deal of sport, was by no means popular, had it not in his power to render Tripieta many services, but she, on account of her grace and exquisite beauty, although a dwarf, was universally admired and petted. So she possessed much influence and never failed to use it, whenever she could, for the benefit of Hop Frog." So that shows us that she possessed a lot of power, and she helped her friend with it. But at the same time, that power wasn't really her power. It was more of, her beauty. What they were thinking of, oh, it's a woman, her beauty. And in today's world, we wouldn't, we don't want that. We want the, we believe that men and women are equal, and it's everybody's intellect that should be taken into account and not their looks. So that's the example of the feminism. I'm gonna move on now to the story, the Cask of Amontillado. And in this story, it's really, I had to read it like 3 times. It didn't make sense to me a couple of times, but it's got a lot of Masonistic references, like how the Mason symbol or gesture was done. Also, the tool that's used to, I think, troll. But going to the story, it's about revenge, but at the same time, Montessor he's ready to take revenge, but he, for some reason, seems like he doesn't want to take it. But he's like, okay, I have the opportunity, I'm going to do it. A couple of things that come at my way. It's one quote in the book. It says, "Come," I said, with decision. "We'll go back. Your health is precious. You're rich, respected, admired, beloved. You are happy, as once I was. You are a man to be missed. For me, it is no matter." Quote end. And he says, "You're a man to be missed, as once I was." So something happened between them, or something Fortunato might have done to him that made him a less of a person in the classes, I guess. I'm not sure. And then also there's another quote. It says, he, yes, the Amontillado, but is it not getting late? Will not they be awaiting us at the Palazzo, the Lady Fortunato, and the rest? Let us be gone. Yes, I said, let us be gone. For the love of God, Montessor. Yes, I said, for the love of God. And that's like, I'm thinking, is he mocking him, or is he just saying, okay, I don't believe in God, whatever, this is over, I've taken my revenge. Also, this is just, I'm throwing it out there in my head after I read it a couple of times. I was thinking maybe this is some sort of a Masonistic ritual of initiation. They've asked Montessor to take revenge on whoever he wants to take revenge on, and he picks Fortunato, and he could become a Mason. Since maybe he's not a Mason at the moment, that's why Fortunato has called him out. And so that was just my thinking of it. And then going to thinking about it in today's context, people still take revenge, but not as, I'm thinking, cold-blooded, and not in such a cold-blooded manner. Maybe they do, I'm not sure. We see killings all the time, but now it's morely with guns and stuff of that sort. But then there's stories out there where people, I don't know, it was a long time ago, I read in the news where somebody had built a fake wall and hid a body behind it, and it turned out to be the person's wife. So it still might happen. I think I'm getting really high on time, so I'm going to end my discussion there. Thank you for listening.